If you're looking at the current war between the US and Israel and Iran, and you're wondering what chance does Iran stand against two of the strongest armies and air forces in the world, I'm going to explain what Iran's biggest strategic asset is. You might think of wars as army against armies, but there's always more to the story. It's not so clearly ballistic missiles against F-16 fighter jets. I want to talk to you today about the Strait of Hormuz. I just want to open up a map, the Strait of Hormuz. Let's do maps. So here's the Strait of Hormuz. You can see it here. It's this little passageway here where the sea here whips around this corner, around this peninsula where Dubai is. And you can see the Persian Gulf, the Arabian Gulf, where Saudi Arabia, we're saying Kuwait, Iraq, Iran, the UAE, and all of them have access to this water here. So this is the Persian Gulf. And in order to leave the Persian Gulf, obviously you have to go through the Strait of Hormuz. So that is what we're talking about here. This choke point in global oil trade that Iran controls. So the majority of the world's oil, or a good chunk of the world's oil, is under the control of Iran right now. So the new supreme leader of Iran, as you can see here in this Reuters article, I talk about Reuters in other videos. Reuters is known as one of the least biased resources out there. It's a news wire, so they supply to other news outlets, and they tend to be fairly balanced. So this is, let's see, new supreme leader says the Strait of Hormuz to stay closed. Okay, so this is Iran's biggest playing card, their biggest strategic asset that they can leverage to potentially defeat armies that are stronger than theirs. The U.S. and Israel teaming up together is through international pressure, because when oil prices go up, everybody feels it. When oil trade is affected, everybody feels it. Other countries can begin putting pressure on the U.S. and on Israel to finish things up quickly or stop what they're doing. It gives Iran some negotiating power. So I want to talk a bit about this. Let's see. So right now, this is the situation. If you look in the markets, the oil settles up 9%. So it's risen 9% as Iran vows to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. So they're really hardline on this, taking a hardline stance that this is it. So it's closed. There's been discussion of laying mines for ships in the strait and other things like that. Essentially, warfare, like in maritime warfare, that would impact these international shipping ships that are going through the strait, trying to bring oil to the world, and basically upset the entire global economy. Kind of a big deal, and this is how they do it. This is how Iran could potentially defeat its enemies. See, tracking Iranian attacks on civilian ships in the Gulf. I'm not going to get into that whole thing now. It's having this huge global effect. There's a reason that Iran has been able to maintain its position in spite of being openly oppressive to its people over all these years. And one of that is the amazing amount of leverage it has for the Strait of Hormuz and its oil production in Iran. So how the Strait of Hormuz closure affects global oil supply. So this war has effectively shut down the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow shipping lane between Iran and Oman, through which around a fifth of the world's daily oil is liquefied, and liquefied natural gas, LNG, supply passes. Top Middle East oil producers, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Kuwait, have all cut production at their oil fields because they have to pump oil into storage if they cannot load it into oil tankers. So it's really disrupting some of these main exporters of oil in the world. And their oil storage facilities are brimming after 10 days with no shipping. 10 days with no shipping oil from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Kuwait. Think about that. Let's just see what Gemini has to say here. As of mid-March, the U.S. and Israel are under significant immediate pressure from soaring oil prices, which have risen roughly 50% since joint actions against Iran began late February. So oil prices have gone up by a lot. The surge is fueled by the effective shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, that we understand. Okay, political risk. Raising gasoline prices are creating major domestic pressure on the Trump administration to end the conflict quickly. Inflationary concerns. Okay, so oil prices topping $100 a barrel are exacerbating inflationary pressures. potentially affecting consumer goods beyond gasoline. So it's inflating, there's a more general economic inflation as a result of this. If you're not an economist, inflation, not great. Rising prices. Emergency measures to counter the crisis. 30 nations have agreed to a record-breaking release of 400 million barrels of oil from emergency reserves. So there's like an international rallying around trying to solve this issue. And this I thought was an interesting angle, is that, a bit of information, is that Iran is continuing to send millions of oil barrels to China through the Strait of Hormuz, even as it's closed, even as they've closed it to international ships. Iran and so Iran and China are allies essentially in global affairs. China is the major buyer of Iranian oil. It's got to be just China, and I think that's pretty much it. China is the dominant buyer of Iranian oil. Is there anybody else that's buying? Okay, Syria, UAE, about 2%, but you can see the largest consumer is China. And then it looks like Syria is number 2 at 3.3%. So China is taking a lot. And they also share the same sentiments that Iran has towards the West. They don't exactly get along with the US and Israel, even though there is some economic cooperation and trade between the countries. They are essentially on Iran's side of this whole conflict happening now, and they can't have their economy shut down, so they need to be getting their oil. They're a key ally of Iran, so there are obviously some workarounds that Iran is making to make sure that China gets its oil. Many ships have gone dark after Tehran threatened to attack any vessel attempting to pass through the waterway. So 6 ships have been attacked in the Gulf. Okay, less than 48 hours. When did this go? This was just 1 hour ago. It's right now. It's Thursday, March 12th. It's about 4:45 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. Eastern Time. Let's see here. Okay, 6 ships have been attacked in the Gulf in the last 48 hours, bringing the total of vessels attacked since the start of the war to 18, according to reports by the UK Maritime Trade Operations, Maritime intelligence company on Vanguard. It comes as Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, vowed to keep blocking the Strait of Hormuz in his first public statement on Thursday. That was today, Thursday. Verified footage showed 2 tankers on fire in Iraqi waters. Okay. So it's getting serious. This is how you get the entire world involved in your war. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. How wars, you might think of wars as army against armies, but I'm trying to demonstrate throughout all of my content is there's always more to the story. There's always this interconnected, multifaceted conflict that is full of different angles. It's not so clearly army against army, Air Force against Air Force, ballistic missiles against F-16 fighter jets. This war is complex. There's political pressures, there's economic pressures, there's all these different geopolitical elements at play. There's a lot at play when you're talking about these conflicts, and this is just one of them that plays a huge role in how this war is carried out and what comes next. So it's something you can keep watching the news, and hopefully it's not affecting your pocketbook too much.